Hello, everybody, and welcome to an overview of Chapter 5 in the Digital Marketing Essentials textbook. Today, we're going to be talking about offsite SEO, following last week's chapter, which was on-site SEO. And today, I'm actually going to go through the chapter slides. I think these are a little bit more valuable than going through the actual textbook online. So, I jumped right in here. This is slide 15. So there's only about 10 slides I'm going to walk through here today. But I think this is a good visual, and the next couple of slides are all good visuals to talk about what is offsite SEO and how to do it essentially. And before we really dig in here, I think it's important to understand the differences between on-site SEO, offsite SEO, and technical SEO. So in this chapter, in this textbook, there's only two chapters on search engine optimization. There is on-site SEO, which is the last one, which deals with everything that you can control from the front end of a website. And then this chapter, it's offsite SEO, which is everything that contributes to search engine optimization that doesn't happen on your own site. Now, technically speaking, or I guess based on the definition, you don't officially, you aren't officially the one that is making the improvements to offsite SEO. Those are done by other websites by linking back to your site, and in addition, in essence, making it look like your site is authoritative. But as we will see in these slides, you as a website administrator actually have plenty of control over that by creating strong content, creating a backlink strategy, and for contributing your site to various directories in the proper locations. You can actually build a pretty nice offsite SEO strategy and improve the reputation of your website in the eyes of Google and the rest of the internet. And then technical SEO, just as a really quick overview and a reminder, that's everything that happened on the back end of your website. Things like page speed, the core web vitals, and everything that goes on the code side. That's nothing to really worry about here today, because we're really just talking about offsite SEO and how to do it. So let's start here with this slide. And this is actually from Rand Fishkin. He had a presentation several years ago about the value of SEO. These numbers have since changed a little bit, but I did want to use these as a good illustration. So when you search anything on Google, generally you're going to see two sections. You might see a third, but generally you see the paid search and then you see the organic search. So these are all of the paid placements. These are all sponsored. See this word right there. And down here, these are what pops up organically. This is what most searchers are aware of in terms of what's going to rank organically at the top of Google's search engine results page. And when we think about this, it's really important to realize that, all of this here these are all from websites that are pretty well respected and considered to be high authority, very authoritative in the eyes of Google. Here you have DSW, which is Design Issue Warehouse, and then you have two links from Nordstrom's. Before offsite SEO can really yield profits, people do need to discover your content, and they need to link to your content. And from there, search engines will incorporate these new links into your website link profile metrics. And essentially, once your website attracts enough links from other websites, you will be in a better position to rank like these here do. Again, these are all paid placements. These are nothing that we're talking about today. We're really talking about what pops up at the top of the organic search engine results page. Now, I don't know what the official breakdown would be. Google has changed their algorithm so many times over the years. If you had to weigh the different types of SEO and how they contribute to Google, offsite, onsite, and technical SEO, most of the time, I think people would say that offsite SEO is going to weigh the most, in that you could do everything right from an on-site SEO perspective and from a technical SEO perspective. It could be perfect. But if you don't have any links to your website, which is offsite SEO, you're never going to rank first. Google would never rank a website first if there are zero links pointing to the website. That screams of spam. It screams of danger. And Google's number one goal, remember, is to provide users the answers for what they're looking for. If you're searching yellow shoes, like we have on this slide, Google wants to provide you the best possible results for yellow shoes. Now, take advertising out of this. They want these organic results to provide you what Google believes are the best sites for yellow shoes. Lots of subjectivity there if you think about it from a personal perspective and an opinion perspective. But Google, in their endless algorithm, has set up a method to set up the proper websites to be ranked first. This doesn't mean DSW has a better website than Nordstrom or that any other sites are better than others. But based on how Google's algorithm has ranked all of these websites, and based on what their websites have done, they have ranked DSW above Nordstrom in this example. Now, when you think about what can rank so well, why is it that certain sites rank so well? You want to think about, okay, they rank well because other sites link to them. Okay, why do other sites link to them? The reason is that content is, in a word, quality. Quality content is going to get good links over to their sites. This is done through a variety of ways, and this is a list of some good types of content that exist, and you can click through on these slides and to see all of the examples, but there are some really nice examples linked here, and then there's going to be a couple slides after this that show other examples. But when you think about backlinking, and that's what a backlink is, by the way, just to define it, that is a link from another site to yours. And there are plenty of strategies and companies out there that will do backlinks for you. They'll say, hey, we're going to get you 10 links from amazing websites. We're going to increase your domain authority. And well, that may be true. A lot of times it's just not that simple. And while some of those companies may be legitimately doing some outreach for you, on the other hand, a lot of times those are not realistic links. It may prove valuable to you in the short term, and you may do well for a couple of weeks, even a couple of months. But eventually Google is going to see right through that. They're going to notice that a lot of the sites that you're getting links from are just link farms, and that is, their websites just create content with the sole purpose of linking to others for money. Google's eventually going to get rid of those links out of your algorithm profile, and well, your site's going to go back to where it was before, if not even further, because Google could mark you, give you a demerit, if you will, for engaging in black hat SEO. And from the last chapter, black hat SEO is essentially the stuff that you try to do to get out in front that is not done kosher. I wouldn't call it illegal, but it's a cheap way of trying to get ahead of the game, doing so without following Google's best practices. A lot of times it is spam. A lot of times it results in inauthentic traffic. But most importantly, the reason that Google calls it black hat is because you are not actually going to be you're not providing the best solution for the users of Google, which is what Google is trying to do. So, this isn't meant to be this this whole thing against Google and like the powers that be and, big search or anything. But Google does have a mission to serve its customers, which is billions of searches a day. And they didn't get to this point without setting some ground rules that they believe are going to help their users in the long run. So if we keep going here, we look at these types of content. I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but you'll see that most of these similarities are that it's a type of content that captures your attention, and that is not only providing you some interesting content, but it's providing it in a format that is easily digestible. If we think about, the type of content that resonates with you, what are examples of content online that's done really well? Chances are they're going to fall in one of these categories. There's all sorts of things here that are here. And while this list is a little old, I think this list was actually created in 2016. The concepts and the strategies are very much the same. And the way that I look at it now is that the principles of creating content that appeal to web users, webmasters everywhere, it's pretty much evergreen. It's these principles have been the same yet since over the years. Video is still relevant, papers are still relevant, interactive tools very important, information rich lists, long form articles, those are all good. um, but it's certainly worth noting that excuse me. um, it's certainly worth noting that all of this content here is generally providing some good value to the readers. And in digital marketing, that's really the name of the game. How is it that you can create value for the target audience? And you look at all this stuff, and these are great things to look at. I highly recommend clicking through and taking a look, but they all do pretty well. I will say this, the blog post is pretty broad, short form is pretty broad, long form is pretty broad. Some studies have come out recently that have shown that a longer article actually performs. But like if you were to look at this list and say, okay, what are the best 2 or 3? You'll see studies and research that supports all of them. What I personally have experienced is that long form articles typically do a little bit better. Now, long form means 1,000 words or more typically. And that also includes some elements of on-site SEO that we talked about before. Headings, subheadings, proper keyword integration, images, video, rich content, long form articles that are really educational and really informational. It's long form content that's just crap isn't going to rank well. But if you think about if you posted one of all of these things, and all of everything was done according to best practices, long form articles are probably going to get the most traffic, and they're probably going to get the most engagement. Now, engagement, I mean like scrolling through, spending the most time on the page, doing more than just a quick scan. A short form article, while they have value, you think about short form value articles, short form evergreen content is typically stuff under like 300 words, 400 words. They're nice, but you could scan through that in 30 seconds and get out and get what you're looking for. Long form articles, assuming that you capture attention and that you have some good lead, you have a good lead, it could take people 5-10 minutes to get through it. And Google looks at those numbers. They check to see, all right, are people in and out in 30 seconds? Are they spending 5 to 10 minutes, like slowly going through everything and really understanding everything? Because the longer you spend on a page, the more valuable Google considers that page and that experience to be. A couple other things here. I've seen interactive tools getting some really, really, really high praise in terms of sites and companies that have started utilizing them for their own businesses. The best example I've seen is Neil Patel. A lot of you might have heard of him. He has a big website on driving traffic and doing well at the SEO game. And I really like a lot of the stuff he has to say. He created an interactive tool a couple years ago called Uber Suggest. And it's essentially just an SEO tool where you can put in a term or a website and you can see some search engine SEO analytics that could help. And he said he spent about $40,000 on it. It was pretty expensive. It had to be custom coded, but he had a full marketing campaign around it. And once he got people going to that site, to that section of his site, of his domain, he saw all of his SEO metrics just going through the roof, his own site. You got a lot more traffic, you got a lot more usage, and an interactive tool is a backlinking machine, because generally when you create an interactive tool, and there are sites online where you can create interactive tools for free. When you create an interactive tool, and if it's unique and it's positioned properly, other sites, once they find that, they're going to want to link to it. they're going to want to provide links to it to their own users because they know that it's going to provide value to their own readers. Additionally, people are going to start using it over and over, assuming that it's well done and actually solves a problem, to a point that your site is going to start seeing so much traffic that people are going to go from your interactive tool, look at the other content that you have to share, and you could see all sorts of great results out of it. I myself have not created an interactive tool yet. I have tested some on my site over the years, but have not hit the critical mass that Neil Patel did with Ubersuggest. But I do suggest that if that's available to you, that you utilize that and really promote the hell out of it, because it has a great opportunity to be a great driver of backlinks, but then also a great driver of traffic and potentially new business, as Neil Patel saw as well. So a couple of quick link bait examples. Backlinko, this guy who started it was Brian Dean. I believe he just got acquired by, was it Google, LinkedIn? SEMrush, I don't remember. He recently, Backlinko got acquired and he started working with another business, but he created this blog, which is all about backlinks. And he just created content that he thought was backlinkable, essentially. And he created stuff like this: 200 ranking factors for Google's ranking list. Things like this were really interesting to see. And he has all sorts of articles on his site. You look in that upper left corner of this here, 47,000 shares on social media alone. That's huge. And this is a very long article. It falls under long form content, but it also, if you go back, he also has, there's a lot of research, so it counts as a research paper, and there's lots of visualization of complex data. Not to mention it's an information rich list. So it hits a lot of these points here. And as a result, you end up with some very, very strong backlink worthy content. I've seen this article myself, linked on like half a dozen blogs, and this article's been out for a while. He updated it at the end of 2021. And I follow a lot of similar blogs, and I follow Backlinko myself, but at the same time, he's like, this is the leader right here. This article is getting tons of traffic, and that is because he is integrating and combining so many of those content that ranks elements into one piece. Another thing that I wanted to quickly show, I don't love this one here, but this is a radiation dose chart. I could improve. I'm sure I could find a better image than something like this, because this is straight out of the website. This is straight off the internet in 2000. But if you want to see things like this, this is data visualization / an infographic. But if you want to see anything like this, examples of this that are a little bit more current, I would recommend going to Reddit. There's a subreddit called Cool Guides, and it's just stuff like this, where you can learn about stuff really fast with an image that is, that just shows you, it doesn't only provide, data and content, but it provides a best-in-class example of something that a certain niche audience in here, not a lot of people are looking for radiation dosage, but a lot of people are looking to learn about in a quick, visually, visually I wouldn't call this visually stunning, but a visually appealing way. Something like this, guys, a lot of backlinks to it, because if at any time there is any medical blog that talks about radiation dosage, or anything in nuclear, if there's anything at all that deals with nuclear physics or radiation dosage that like people can take on, this is like one of the best ones that people will link to. So I would recommend creating something, maybe not creating this, but creating something visually appealing that also shares a lot of information and data that people might be applying to their own content, is definitely a good backlink piece. Here's another one. This is a list, a top 10 list. This wasn't necessarily on the content page earlier, Although in the content marketing course that I teach in my content marketing textbook, we talk a lot about the power of lists as content marketing tools. And really, you want to think about how is it that where is the sweet spot between content brevity, short content, and content quality, because there is or I should say, content quality information. Because long form content, some people don't want to read thousands and thousands of words, and sometimes people I'm sure you've been in this situation where you'll click on a result on Google, and then you'll see it's an article and it has a table of content, and you're thinking, this is way too much. I do not have the time to read through all this. But if you go here, this says 101 ways to build link popularity. This is probably a very lengthy long, but at the same time, you are much more likely to scroll through these, not because it's long, but because it's presented in a different way that you believe is going to be easier to digest and read. A list like this, and I would say top 10 lists are a little bit more common and a little bit easier to write, but 101 ways is a lot of ways too. There's something for everybody here. And so as a result, you end up with 101 different elements that could be backlinked. And you're also going to get people that are more likely to scroll through and consume all of this content over time. I believe this is the last one. Let me just double check here. No, there's a couple others. There are tutorials. This is the table of contents I was talking about. This is very long form. This is more of a technical piece. And again, it's nice. It's very informational, and it works for backlinks to any of this any content that people are looking to share educational information or information about RSSs. But if I'm looking at this versus I'm looking at this article versus this article, this one to me is going to be a little bit more attention grabbing. Here we have another blog. This is from Yoast. This is a popular SEO plugin for websites. This is a full guide. This is a lengthy piece that I've read this article actually a couple of times, that goes into all sorts of details about SEO. It's a nice piece, but this is referred to as a guide, and you have things like guides and white papers and ebooks. Those are all nice terms, and people do look for those because they believe that when content is packaged in those types of terms, a checklist as well, people are going to be more willing and likely to check them out, versus if you just called it a blog post. A blog post as a terminology has really become maybe not outdated, but kind of too ambiguous, where people have this deep-seated latent idea that if you're just going to call something a blog post, then it's not going to quite be as informational as if it was a white paper, an ebook, a top 10 list, a checklist, a guide, or something similar that has a name like that. Here's some data visualization. Just a quick moment on this. I really like data visualizations. Just got to be careful that people don't poach them and put them on their own site. So I personally would recommend putting a logo, if you do create one, somewhere on this image, because if you'll see here, there's no logo. Like, you don't see who created this. It was a search engine journal, I believe, article that actually created it. But people are also, this is the type of content that people will stop. They'll stop scrolling, they'll look at it, and they will try to understand it, and they'll spend some time. So it helps with engagements. It helps to build authority. It helps with the just general ethos and presence of whatever is in this article. But then finally, it also does a good job of gaining backlinks. It also might get people to right click and save as on this image here, and then take it. So as long as you have the URL or the brand or something on the image itself, you will get more backlinks as a result. Okay, this I believe is the last one. Oh, there's even more. This is an interesting one. This is more of an interactive piece here, where if you had gone, I don't think this website's up anymore, but you could take a look at all these different ways to conserve water in a lot of different methods. Like, you can sort them by different different types of tips. Like you could sort by kids, office, outdoors, indoors. There's pages. They're sorted in grids, or we can sort them in lists. So it's a really good way to showcase information in a visual way that can be filtered and sorted in different methods. I think this is really helpful. And I'm a big fan of content when it is shared in a colorful and easy to read way. Finally, we have this. This is another piece of, this is actually an interactive tool. If you were to click this and you go through to the website, you're going to see this actually doesn't start like this. It starts with a blank page, and then all of these lines come around and they create eventually this shape. It's pretty cool. You end up watching it like several times on loop. And I personally am a big fan of music that, not music, of interactive content that essentially, I think this is just a GIF, to be perfectly honest, but um, things like this that create a fuller image. It's essentially data visualization that is also interactive, that starts at a point zero and then turns into something much more visually appealing and full by the end of it. So just to recap, we create content to create value for people. And this is similar to social media, where creating content and creating value are done through education, inspiration, motivation, and other shins, other TIONs. And when we think about creating value, you want to think about creating value for three different audiences at least. One are your customers from a business perspective. Two are the industry professionals. I work in digital marketing. I write blogs occasionally about digital marketing practices and strategies. And so we're not writing those articles for my customers. I write them for industry professionals because they could one day become my customers. But then also you think about ancillary businesses, and these are just other businesses. I consider these to be kind of related to industry professionals, where I want to create value for other companies. If other companies can come through, utilize my videos, my blog posts to improve their business, then I am building my brand in their eyes, so that someday when they hit a point where they can no longer do what I am showing them, they will come to me for help. And that wraps up offsite SEO here. Just a quick look back, because we went through a lot of different content here. We talked about what offsite SEO is, how it relates to onsite SEO and technical SEO. We talked about content that is valuable, what would create a backlink and what is a backlink, as well as many different examples of the types of content that will create value and thus create backlinks. And then finally, we talked about who is it that we are creating value for, starting with these three audiences. There are more. This is a mere example. This is really a microcosm, but I did want to share all of this here because I believe that offsite SEO is critically important to a successful online business. Not only does it being good at offsite SEO isn't about going out and asking sites and companies to link to your business. It's about creating valuable content that will naturally and organically drive traffic to your site and get people to want to link to your content, because it is considered some of the leading material out there on whatever it